Hello, and welcome to the rest of my life. I am Lance Ash, and I'm heading back to work after a 3-day weekend. When you're in a position like mine, a 3-day weekend feels like a vacation, because it really is. What a relief. The extra day is so helpful. Alright. Well, I worked on the mailbox a little bit, but didn't get it quite shored up all the way. Oh, goodness. Alright. What do I have in my bag full of CDs? Let's take a look and see. Alright, number one, The Church, Starfish. Fantastic record. The Church, Priest Equals Aura. The Church, Gold Afternoon Fix. Johnny Winter, Serious Business. This is from Putumayo Records, which is sort of a world music label, and this one's called Mali. This is music from Mali, and sort of like a just various artists thing. This is also from the Putumayo label. This is called Asian Groove. Also various artists. Hold on a second. All right, next. This is called The Rough Guide to the Music of India. And this is like a sampler. Various artists. All right, next we have Yellow, 1 Second. This is the other album that has the song Oh Yeah on it. And then we're back to where we started. Okay, I want to mention something about those Church albums. Starting with the album Heyday, the Church went on a run of just great records. And I probably have mentioned this before, but in 87, I used to go out shoplifting every day and get, back then we'd get cassettes. I don't think we used to steal CDs. I don't know why. That came later, but in fall of 87, it was cassettes all the time. And there was a sort of a Kmart type place called Richway. I don't know if they're still in business, but they were so disorganized that there was a part of the store that just had cassettes strewn about. It was so easy to steal stuff in there. And so, when everything's free, you have the luxury of just getting whatever you want. So you pick stuff up just based on, well, the cover looks interesting. Let's just see what this is. And I don't think I had ever heard of the Church. And their album Heyday is, I don't know what year that was, 86, 85, 86, somewhere in there. Anyway, in the late 80s, Paisleys came back into style big time. And on the cover of the record, the four guys are wearing just crazy patterned shirts. Paisleys and, that whole pseudo-Persian look. And they're standing in front of a Persian carpet, Oriental carpet. So it's this collage of different patterns and colors. And I thought, well, this looks crazy. What is this? So I got it and really liked it. And don't know what happened to that cassette. Probably gave it to my cousin in Alabama. But a couple years later, no, that's not right. Anyways, it's all a jumble. But I had a subscription to this magazine, Guitar for the Practicing Musician, and they had a transcription of the Church's song Reptile, which is on Starfish, which contains their biggest hit, Under the Milky Way Tonight. And so after I got married, I was in Goodwill one day, and they had a CD that Gold Afternoon Fix album. And so I said, oh my God, it's that band, The Church, I used to like, and the one album by. So I got it and really liked it. So that set me off collecting Church albums. And I'm missing maybe 3. It's hard to say. It's a shame that Marty Wilson Piper's not in the band anymore. Oh well. All right, moving on to topics. I really don't have many topics. I don't even have to look at the list to tell you what the topics are. First one is the album Stain by Living Colour. When Living Colour first came out, their first album, it was sort of a novelty thing, because here were 4 black guys playing something approaching metal. And they had 2 big hits, Cult of Personality and The Glamour Boys, which was a much lesser hit than the first one. And it really was sort of a novelty thing. And then the second record came out, and I think the only pseudo or semi-hit off that was Love Rears Its Ugly Head, if that's the name of the song. No, Stereotype? Was that the... But it wasn't nearly as big of a hit as the first record. And then they had a couple of EPs here and there, but then they had the final record. I know they've done some stuff since they got back together, but I don't know anything about that. But they did Stain, which was their third studio record. And in my opinion, their best record. Just an uncompromising slab of metal. And I think the fact that it didn't have as many overt funk elements or overt so-called black elements really left the buying public confused. And I think that the lack of commercial success for that record really is what contributed to their breaking up. And I just think it's a shame that because they didn't display black stereotypes in their music, especially on that third one, that people just didn't care, didn't want to know anything about it. And the metalheads didn't want to know anything about it either. Because the album, you know, it delves here and there into black social issues, and it delved a little bit into what would you say, bisexuality, or the widespread prevalence of it. And so nobody wanted to know, you know. The metal community is one of the most tolerant, broad-minded, and accepting of musical communities, and yet there are certain things they won't touch. And it's a shame, because that really is their best record. And I want to mention, I meant to look this up today to see if I could find any confirmation of this, but I have a theory. They have a song on that record called Postman, and Soundgarden has a song on Super Unknown called Mailman, and they're both about outsiders who've been rejected by either women or society or other people or so forth, and who I don't. In the case of the Soundgarden song, there's a heavily implied threat that they're going to get revenge. The person's going to get back at everybody, or get back at someone. Don't know if that's so much the case in the Living Colour song, but I'm wondering if both of those songs are based on David Berkowitz, who worked as a mailman for a little while, and then later became the Son of Sam killer. It would be interesting if both those songs are based on the same person. I've always loved that record. It's just a shame. All right, second topic and last topic. My wife and I have been watching the Michael Gambon Inspector McGray series lately. Long time ago, those were broadcast on PBS, and I didn't really pay much attention. I would turn on PBS once in a while, and there it was, and I just didn't give a shit. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know who Michael Gambon was, and I wouldn't have recognized him at the time. And now, now that he's played Dumbledore, and he was the old man who gets killed in Gosford Park, it's weird to go back and look at that show and see him playing McGray and realize he was a little younger than I am. And you look at that and you think, oh, well, he's an older dude. No, he's younger than I am now. It's bizarre. It's a really good show. But anyway, the topic I was going to go over is we have a lot of the Inspector McGray books by George Simenon, and they were reissued with various covers over the years. But there was I don't know what year this would have been, early 80s, mid 80s. Penguin reissued all of them with these sort of Art Nouveau-ish covers and vintage photographs on the cover. And when we were watching the show, I got to thinking about those paperbacks. So I looked up a couple, and I just rekindled my love of Art Nouveau and Art Nouveau revival. There was a time when I liked Art Deco back in the 80s, and I thought Art Nouveau was a lesser related movement. But now I don't give a shit about Art Deco. Art Nouveau's where it's at. I guess that's all the topics I have. I was trying to think of maybe an anecdote from my past I could bring up. Let's go through the timeline quickly and think of something. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. I'll tell you one little anecdote from somewhere around sixth grade, maybe. I had a little circle of friends, and one of them brought a picture they had torn out or cut out of a pornographic magazine, and we went into the basketball locker room, the boys' basketball locker room in the gym, to look at it. And it was a picture of this chick with blonde hair, and she was sprawled out on a black fur rug in front of a fireplace. She had her legs spread, and she had her vaginal labia sort of hanging out and I'd never seen a pornographic a nude like that before, and it was both revolting and compelling at the same time. It was one of these things where it's the novelty of it is sort of off-putting, but at the same time the primal reality of it is very erotic. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I mentioned it in a comic book that I drew several years ago. But when I was in, would have been third grade, I guess, my family lived in a 3-story house. And not but a couple hundred feet down the road from our house, riding home on the bus, I saw a torn up magazine in the ditch. And I immediately thought, that's a pornographic magazine, you know. So, and it was in my mind thinking about it. Just down the road, there's naked pictures. So I'm 7 or 8 years old, right? And I waited until everyone went to sleep. And I got up in the middle of the night and got dressed and snuck out of the house and walked down the road and grabbed, the magazine was torn up, so I just grabbed what I could, went back to the house, go to my room, and look at, the only picture I remember was this chick with big tits, and she had this long strand of pearls that came down around her breast, and it was so enthralling. Many years later, it was a similar incident. There was this chick that I had a big crush on. She lived about 2 miles from my house. And I was obsessed with the thought of sneaking over to her house and watching her take a shower through a window. So I must have been 16, maybe 17. I got dressed in the middle of the night. I couldn't drive. Or maybe I didn't want anybody to hear the car start. I can't remember. But I got dressed and drove over there. Walked over there in the middle of the night, 2 miles. It was cold. I had a jacket on. Of course, I get over there and the lights are off and there's dogs barking because they can smell me. And just stand there for 60 seconds thinking, this is stupid. Walk back home. I've told my wife several of these stories, and she said, you were this close to becoming a sexual predator. It's probably true. You think, how close was I ever to killing somebody? Maybe killing somebody accidentally, or killing someone without even knowing it. Being drunk and waking up the next day and mystery man ran somebody over on the side of the road. You're just always a hair's breadth away from being the villain. I think a lot of people want to pretend that they were on the side of good their whole lives, but you don't know. Well, I had a pretty good weekend. Finished a painting. And when I decided to become a painter, the criterion that I used to make that choice was that painting was the most fun thing that I had ever found to do. And this painting I'd been working on for the last month was just a chore. And I thought, you need to reintroduce the element of fun to painting. So I made a decision to start being start aiming for fun more in my painting from here on out. So I started a new one last night, and I just decided to throw caution to the winds and just scribble out an initial sketch, slop it on there, slop the paint on, to just jump in with both feet and just don't worry about it. And really that goes along with what I talked about last week, my intention to get more into just purely illustrative or decorative work. And this, I know I've said this 1,000 times on the show before, but just become a machine and turn the things out. No deep meaning in the composition. It's not going to be any less technically developed of a work. It's just, you come up with an idea, a guy standing in a room talking to two people, that's it. Anyway. All right. So, I guess that's about it. Can't think of anything else. All right. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.